Hello, everybody. This is Joe the Lawyer, and here with another edition of Analog Man Cave. Today, we're going to talk about tieflings battling Cambions in the Blood War, Highlander style in my campaign. All right. So I changed everything about tieflings and Cambions. I changed it all up, and I have them battling each other just like the Highlander old TV series, and even before that, the movie with Connor McLeod. Always better than Duncan McLeod. Duncan was all right. But Connor was, Connor had the Kurgan. How do you beat the Kurgan, right? I mean, so that's just, if anybody's watching this or doesn't know what the hell I'm talking about, go back and watch The Highlander. It's awesome. And the Kurgan wins it, and he steals the whole show. Anyway, but that's sidetracked myself 2 minutes into the damn video. Tieflings, Cambions, the Blood War, and the Highlander. What's it all have in common? Well, first thing you got to know is I changed, if you watch any of my other videos, I house rule the shit out of everything, right? So I changed Cambions, I changed Tieflings completely around. They are no longer a playable race, all right? They're an NPC thing, and I juiced them up. I made them way more powerful than they were in the books, okay? Then I brought in the Blood War. The Blood War, I think, came out around second edition. I think that's when it sort of started. They talked about it for the first time back. That seems what I remember. It was the battle between devils and demons, and they battled each other in what they called the Blood War. And going on since the dawn of time, and it'll keep going until the end of the universe, basically. And you have that's the primary fight between Cambions, between devils and demons, and they enlist the daemons of Hades to help them in the battle if they could pay them. And it's for power, territory, conquest. It comes from the blood. They must cancel each other out. They must obliterate each other. It's a bloodlust sort of a thing. So I'm thinking, wow, that lends itself well to Highlander kind of stuff, right? You got the quickening in the Highlander. It's sort of the same thing. We must fight when we find each other. We get the juice. We get charged up for it. Okay, so what I did was I used all of that. I jumped it all together, took away tieflings and cambions as playable races, and made them powerful NPCs with a lot going on in the background. Now, as an overview, I'm showing you here on my screen. This is from my webpage. And yes, before you ask, it is up on my webpage. You guys can look at it, look at my tiefling write-up, look at my Cambion write-up on the webpage. Some of the extraneous stuff I'm going to explain here, though, because it doesn't make a lot of sense, some of it maybe, unless you hear what I'm describing. Okay, because if you look at this, you think, oh my God, it's an overpowered class. Who could possibly play this? No, it's not a class you could play. This is something that a DM has in his toolkit to make the game. It works anywhere, any setting. It makes it way more interesting. Okay, so tieflings. First thing you got to know, they are always spawns of devils and a male devil and a human or demi-human female. Okay, and the tieflings are always female, whereas cambions are the spawn of a demon and a human or demi-human female, and they are always male. Okay, now tieflings cannot reproduce except in one certain situation, and cambions can reproduce because they're spawns of chaos. All right, that is as a basis, somewhere to start. Now, as I'm going to go through tieflings, I'm going to read the screen and describe to you what and why it is all about. And then I have another screen open that you can't see for cambions, and I'm going to tell you the differences. What I did was made them essentially clones of each other in most ways. The main differences are their power sources, some of their abilities are based in fire or lightning, depending, obviously. Tieflings are fire, cambions are lightning, and some of their behavior and organizational structure, lack thereof for cambions. All right, but they still have something. They're not pure agents of chaos. They have a will as well. The will as well. Okay, so like I said, tieflings, spawn of a devil, human or demi-human women. They're all female, and they are natural, true shape shifters, which is non-magical. Now, what I'm getting at here is that if anybody old enough to remember that old show, The Manimal, I think it was, where he just sort of like erupted muscles and changed his form. It's much like lycanthropy, which some people think is magical, some people don't. It is sort of remember the movie Altered States from the 80s when the guy just changed into a primitive animal? It's like that. Your body shifts and pops and changes, like the Hulk, all right, changing form. All right, it's not a magical thing, so therefore it's not magical detectable. In their monster looking form, which is their true form, by the way, they have horns, wings, and tails. They are generally lawful and evil in nature, although all rare exceptions. They can be any alignment, even good, but pretty much I never have them good. I'm only going to make them one step. Lawful and evil, they're going to be neutral or neutral or neutral. they are not so uncontrollably lawful and evil, even if they are, as their diabolic parent. Their goal on this prime plane is to gain personal power with themselves and to make pacts and bargains that help their devilish parent. And they use deception, trickery, and pacts, working behind the scenes to describe their ultimate end, which is described below. They are not considered to be humanoids, nor devils, nor any category. They are their own category. So this is, in case you haven't noticed, is the 5e version of this, guys, which I have to now convert over to a second edition version because I'm going to have them in my second edition campaign. So all you 5e guys, this is for you. Okay, this is why any OSR guys looking at this are like, "Holy crap! Look at those things. That's insane." No, it's the 5e version. I'm going to scale it back though. Now, the thing about Cambions, it's a little bit different. Okay, everything is the same there, but their primary goal is havoc, chaos, war, and destruction to achieve their ultimate end, which is the Blood War. All right. And again, they're not humans or demons or any other category. They are their own category of Cambions. Okay. Now, ability score increases. All right. So intelligence, dex, and charisma, you get +4 to those scores when you roll them up. And you can make it whatever you want. You're the DM. They're only DM characters. Whereas Cambions get strength, con, and charisma +4. And there's no cap of 20. That's something to keep in mind. Base AC is 10 when they look human and 12 when they look like monsters. All right. The age category, they reach maturity quickly around age 13 and live to be about 1,000 years old. Now, when they are young, until they hit 13, they always look human. They cannot change over into their natural Cambion or Tiefling state until they're 13 years old. Until then, they look human. They always look young and fit, never appear to be older than 40. All right. Their sizes are 6 to 7 feet tall, but in a monster form, they each grow another foot for every 10 levels. So if you're 10th level Tiefling, 10th level Cambion, they start off at 6 feet, now you're 7 feet in your monstrous form only, but not your human form. Okay, so your speed, climb speed, your natural speed is 35, climb is 20 in their monster form, and they could jump D10 plus their strength mod plus 20 feet backwards or forwards from a standing position, 40 feet of running, 10 feet up when they're their monster form. Now, their monster form looks like the stuff you normally see a Tiefling or a Cambion looking like: tails, wings, horns, reddish, whatever you want to call it, bluish, whatever it is, okay? Now, they could fly as well. At first level, Cambions use their wings to mimic the effect of featherfall. At 5th level, they could glide the same distance as when they jump vertically. At 10th level, they can fly at various speeds all the way up to 20th level. And now you're getting into the surprise. They're only surprised on 1 in 8, not a 2 in 6 chance like everybody else. Their dark vision is 120 feet. Now, their skills and proficiencies that they get to start off with. For a Tiefling, it's persuasion, investigation, perception, and stealth. Whereas for a Cambion, deception, intimidation, perception, and stealth. Saving throws for Cambion, strength, con, and charisma. For Tieflings, intelligence, dex, and charisma. All right. Tieflings are damage resistant to cold, lightning, poison, and any damage from non-magical / piercing or bludgeoning. And as you would expect, damage resistance for Cambions, cold, fire, poison, non-magical, slashing, piercing, or bludgeoning. Okay. So that's what you're dealing with here. Damage immunity for Tieflings is fire. Damage immunity for Cambions is lightning. Spellcasting ability is charisma. Now, here's what I did. Here, I have to jump out of the stat block here. Get into what they're all about. Now, I took away the Warlock class and the Sorcerer class in my 5e game because I wanted to make a different use of them. I wanted to make them attach that ability, that sort of not stat block, but the Sorcerer skills and abilities, some of them, to Cambions, because I thought that'd be great for wild magic. All right. And then for Tieflings, I said, well, this is perfect for like the Warlock Pact stuff of hell. So this is what they are. As their base, they get spellcasting ability of Warlocks for a Tiefling, and they get spellcasting ability of a Wild Mage for a Cambion. All right. This is just part of their being. They're not sorcerers per se. They're just part of their being. Right. Now, due to their race, they get an innate spell ability of Charm Person and Detect Magic for Tiefling, each 3 times a day, and then they can throw a fireball, various ranges and damages depending on their level, all weapon and armor proficiencies, and TID bonuses thrown in there. And for Cambions, you're getting Command and Detect Magic, because I figure that's more a Cambion thing rather than Persuade to look at a command. So that's not charm, it's more like a forceful thing. And then their special attack, instead of lightning, it's a lightning bolt instead of a fireball. So again, they clone each other, they mimic. Now, here's where we get into the reason for being, why they are here. Tiefling has two goals. First, to wage the blood war on this plane by destroying anything demonic in origin, as well as any plans that may have for conquest. They mostly do this through info gathering, networking, infiltration, stealth, and assassination, rarely coming out from behind the scenes. They also enter into infernal pacts with mortals in exchange for favors from their infernal parent, with the infernal parent being the ultimate recipient of the souls when the mortals die, adding to the quota of the souls that infernal parent must gather. Their other goal is to rejoin with the parent and either bring the parent to this plane or go to the parent's infernal plane to serve it. That choice is up to the tiefling. All right. Now, for the reason for being for the Cambion, again, wage the blood war, and they through combat, war, conquest, preferring to personally take a hand in all the fights, just the opposite of the tieflings. Their other goals, and the same thing, rejoin with their parent to go back to their parent's plane. And as they go up in level, they can commune with their parent. Now, this is interesting because I want to talk about the leveling. You don't have to join in the blood war. All right. If you are a tiefling or a Cambion, and I've made use of this in my campaign, it's pretty interesting. You don't have to necessarily join the blood war. If you hit 5th level, that's when you take your first head, basically, and you hit 5th level, you're in that blood war. All right. If you don't hit 5th level ever and never take your first head at that point, you will not be in the blood war. You're not communing with your parent. All right. You are not sort of linked to them in any sense. You have your own will, your own way. You just go peacefully. You do what you do. You stay low, and you can still be hunted by other tieflings. But remember this sort of the quickening, the sense that somebody's in the game. All right. This is basically, if you don't hit 5th level, it's like you're on holy ground. You're not touchable. You're not sensible. They don't know you're a tiefling. They don't know you're a Cambion. You keep a low profile. You do your own thing, and you're out of the game. That is how it works. But if you hit 5th level, that's when the fun starts. You start having dreams and you communicate with your parent. All right. That this is their bloodline. That sort of connects them to the parent. At 10th level, you could enter into a trance once a day, telepathically communicate for up to 5 minutes. At 15th level, 3 times a day, 10 minutes each. And then at basically you could at 15th level also plane shift to their plane, appearing within a few miles of their parent. And at 20th level, you can morph, if you choose, into a powerful, full-blooded devil or demon of that type, of any the same type as your father. And at 20th level, you can true shape change into that form once a day for 2 hours a day as a bonus action if you want to, even if you don't transform permanently into it. You could also access all your class abilities. Now, the other thing at 20th level is you could summon Dad to this plane. All right, so that's a big deal. That's what Dad really wants. Let's help the child get up in power, so I could summon me, open a portal to hell or the abyss, and then next thing you get a horde of them coming in. All right. Natural planar defenses. A tiefling on any plane of hell takes no more environmental damage than being there as if they were a devil or a demon, a devil of that from that plane. And the same thing with Cambions. They don't take any sort of damage if they are on any plane of the abyss than if they were from there. Now, a little more about that true shape change. It's not magical. So in that regard, they are unlike druids. They are not, it's not a polymorph spell. It's something that only true seeing can see through. Detect magic can't. Okay. True. Again, I went into the true shape changing here about, it seems like the Hulk and whatnot. If you're wearing armor while you change, it's going to freaking hurt. And I got some damage adjustments there because if you're wearing armor, ouch. Okay. But if it's magical armor, it will change and morph around you, just like magical armor normally does. Now, when you shift into a new form, you exude like a burst of elemental energy, okay, in a 15-foot radius around you. So it was like a crackling of electricity or a burst of fire, respectively, depending if you're a Cambion or a Tiefling. It only happens when you change into the monster form, but you also have the option once a day of using that energy to heal yourself. So you just internalize the energy and it heals you. No burst happens. That's a cool little bonus there. Okay. Now any Tiefling or Cambion can see, 5th level or at least 5th level, can see through each other's shape-shifted form at will. They could also see through any shape-shifted or disguised a demon or devil and vice versa, whether the disguise is magic, true shape-shifting, or anything else. They just know each other by sight or smell. And in addition, any druid of 6th level or higher has a 10% chance to see through the forms of Cambions, Tieflings, or Dragonborn. That's another video. Upon first sight. And yet goes up every level for druids. Okay. Now, the quickening. Yes, I did steal this from the Highlander completely. Okay, as I touched on before, when they are within 250 feet of each other, they sense each other's presence, and their bloodlust screams in their veins. Upon sight, they know who it is that quickened them instantly. Even the rare good aligned ones who have the quickening feel the bloodlust. They could choose not to indulge in it, but the evil ones relish the feeling. It's better than sex. The quickening cannot be used to determine the number or direction or anything else about their foe. Can't tell their level, in other words. You don't know how powerful they are. When one kills another by getting the final blow, they have to cut off their head with a silvered weapon, and the body of the enemy explodes in energy as normal, but the energy is channeled into the victor, and they are healed of all damage and conditions, as if a super powerful heal spell was cast on them. When it happens, the recipient of the quickening turns into their monstrous form. They get 10 temporary hit points for every level of their foe, which lasts for 24 hours. They have advantage in all saves for the next 24 hours. All right, so keep in mind that a tiefling or a cambion who turns against their own kind does not gain anything from beheading their own kind. They must kill their enemy of the opposite side to get any sort of benefit from it. And a tiefling killing a demon or a cambion killing a devil does not get any quickening effect, but it feels good because, still the blood war. Now, leveling up in creation. A tiefling can level up in any class it chooses except for warlock. That's because, or sorcerer or bard. That's because warlocks get some of their abilities naturally. Sorcerers are reserved for cambions, and cambions can do anything they want except warlock, sorcerer, or bard too, for the respectively opposite reasons. All right, and bards because I gave their abilities to dragonborn and dragons, like the bard song. So they do not get the racial abilities of their non-monstrous race, and this is important. Okay, so if you're a half elf, and if your mother was an elf and you're a tiefling, you don't get the elves' racial bonuses. You do not get to choose, if it's as a tiefling, from the warlock skills, nor do you get warlock ability score proficiencies, just those of the non-warlock class, because essentially every tiefling and every cambion is two-classed. All right, they get some of the warlock abilities as a tiefling. They get some of the sorcerer abilities as a cambion. All right. Now, this thing reads exactly the same for cambions, as you could look on my webpage and see. But you're not a full warlock. You're not a full sorcerer. Okay. But the feats are allowed by class. So your base class, like I ran a tiefling in my campaign as sort of an NPC. They popped up once in a while just to sort of kick the tires and see how this thing works as a class. And so her name was Zira. I'll refer to her a few times. And she was basically a thief. All right, and she was a warlock because that comes with the race of tiefling, and she was essentially an archaeologist. I've heard like a Lara Croft kind of a thing, or a female Indiana Jones. Okay, now they don't need but 3 hours of sleep a night as well. Warlock spells cannot be counterspelled, although many tieflings and cambions make sounds and gestures while casting sorcerer and warlock spells is not necessary. The ability for two classes is innate and comes from the bloodline. Some throw out creepy words in abyssal or infernal and make weird gestures just to look impressive and intimidate. Now, here's something I did, which is kind of cool. Controlled creatures. Upon reaching maturity, a tiefling has the ability, or a cambion, to magically communicate and control 150 hit points worth of lesser creatures of their choice, like skeletons, snakes, spiders, wolves, bears, zombies, blah, 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 plus 10 hit points of creatures per level. Range is 500 feet. Sight is not needed to sense or control them. They can use the creature senses as if they were their own. Close their eyes, stand still, and concentrate, but only one creature at a time. It takes a full round to go back and forth or the change creatures. The creature type has to be CR1 or less, like really weak stuff. Each individual tiefling or cambion can only control one type of creature, and that type cannot change during the life. So you're going to pick spiders at first level, you're spiders. That's it for everything. Okay. Now, Death Strike. When a tiefling or cambion are killed, in other words, made 3 failed death saves, and it's not due to a quickening beheading, in the same round, it reverts to its monstrous form, if it wasn't already in that form, and it explodes, doing the same damage as it would have done when it changed form. All right. And remember that changed the monstrous form, a burst of, a ring of fire, a ring or electricity, but a 30-foot radius, and there's not much left behind. Now, what if you're a spawn of a demon lord or an archdevil? You get +2 more to your ability scores, 2 more proficiencies, and are proficient in all saves. There are 12-sided hit die instead of 10, and do 2 more hit dice of damage for the special ability. And they also have some beneficial special abilities related to their devilish or demonic parent as determined by the DM. Other tieflings or Cambion instinctively tend to want to follow and obey those creatures. They also get double quickening benefits. Now, if you're an apostate, it means you're a Cambion or a tiefling that has betrayed your bloodline, and you've chosen an alignment or goal in life other than that of your parent. And they're hated by everybody else you're hunted and killed by everybody, both sides. They get more sleep. They need more sleep at night. There's no way to detect an apostate other than by their actions. And you still get all the abilities because it's through blood, not through worship or a bond or anything like that. But an apostate does not get the 20th level capstone ability. Okay. Now, as you move up in level, you need to take heads. All right. If you are 5th level, and you need to go to 6, you could have all the XP in the world you want. You could have 10 times more than what you need to move up to 6th level. But until you take a head of a demon, a Cambion rather, this tiefling is not going to level up. And once you take that head, you're only going to go to the bottom of the next level, 1 XP into it. It doesn't matter how much you've banked. So you have to find somebody to level up. It's just like the quickening, where you need to kill more to get more powerful. That way you get more energy from the quickening into you. Okay, so if you're hit 4th level, you got the 5th level, you need to kill, take a head. And that's it. And every single level after that, all the way up to 15th level. After 15th, you don't need to kill to level up. But after 15th, you get some more benefits, though. Okay. Now, some good or neutral Cambions or tieflings purposely try not to attain more than 4th level. So I have to have a bit of more control over the lives and not be victims to the bloodlust. Because once you hit 5th level, you take a head, you get up there, you're in the game. Like I said, the bloodlust controls you. You have to go kill. All right, that's when the shit gets real. Now, here's one thing I've added too for a high-level game. When the tiefling or Cambion hits 15th level, they are free of the need to kill each other to advance, but they still get the benefits, but they're no longer driven by it. Okay, it's like when you hit, I don't know, whatever age is that, where you're no longer driven by your little brain men out there. You know what I'm talking about, and you can use your big brain more often. Same thing. All right, now here's something I added. I've hinted at it in here, but I'm going to explain what I did. Neither tieflings nor Cambions can have other tiefling or Cambion offspring. Tieflings cannot have kids at all. Cambions can produce children. They're always men, and I'll explain that coming up later. It's really interesting what I did with their factions and everything. Now, however, if they are each 20th level, they can mate with each other. Not too many tieflings or Cambions even understand or know what this is. I had it happen at the end of the campaign with Zira and some other powerful Cambion who was running Hellgate Keep in the Forgotten Realms. Zira's father tricked her into saying, "You must do single combat with him, and I'll do single combat with the Balrog, but that's the condition of me helping you." She's okay. Didn't know what was going on because, hey, I'm the DM. I said she didn't know. Now, once two 20th level Cambions and tieflings hit and they meet each other, the bloodlust hits them like a brick shithouse. Basically, it's unavoidable. But you don't want to kill each other. The fighting instantly converts over to you must screw each other, and from that, an offspring comes. It can be man or woman. That's the only way that a tiefling can produce kids. And at the conclusion of the act, the tiefling pulls a praying mantis or a black widow, kills its mate, chops its head off. And all the energy from chopping the head off of the Cambion by the tiefling, and there's no controlling it. The Cambion can't defend itself. It's in the throes of passion. And the tiefling knows when the moment is. It turns animalistic. Cuts the head off. All that quickening energy pops into the womb. Now you have an opportunity to make a god. This is how I've decreed that gods appear in the world. New gods are products of tieflings and Cambions. I call them the little godlings. Okay. What happens is at that moment of conception, at the moment of the head chopping off, and boom, you have a power of each of the alignments, either lawful good, lawful evil, neutral evil. Those 4 appear. Or a true neutral good, neutral evil can also appear as well, but it's more rare. It's more like the 4 predominant ones appear, and they appear to give their energy and bless the union. The benefit is that whichever god appears, let's say it's Torm, lawful good, and Asmodeus, lawful evil, appear. Once you give your energy in equal amounts into the womb along with the quickening for this baby, that means the baby has a choice when it hits 15 years old and matures of which alignment to choose. Okay? You can't choose lawful good if you've not been blessed by lawful good energy. So if you have lawful evil showing up, lawful good showing up. If you have chaotic evil showing up, chaotic good showing up. All right? And there's always an opposite. If neutral good shows up, neutral evil shows up. So there are up to six that can show up. This energy given by up to six gods, now this being in the womb has the choice of what am I going to be when I grow up? You can't be that which you haven't been given. Thing is, the more energy you're given, the more energy you could use. You could use the energy of Torm if you choose evil, and that energy now goes towards evil. So it's a gamble for all gods. But if an evil guy shows up, a lawful evil shows up, so is lawful good. And so it's a big gamble. And now this being, this little kid, is protected by this energy throughout its life. If it fell off a cliff, it would slide down, and a tree branch would stop its fall. If it was going to drown, a dolphin appears out of nowhere. This is using its natural energy, so it will make it to 15 years old, and then it has a choice, and then it can become a demigod or even a quasi deity and moves up. Now, how does it gain more power as a god? Goes out there and kills gods. If he heads them, takes their energy. Same thing as the quickening, right? Just a higher level of it, essentially, is what we're dealing with here. And again, XP, 500 XP per level of each thing killed. Now, let me talk about something that they did that was, I thought, pretty cool. Not to toot my own horn, but now, remember, you have the organization of tieflings is lawful in nature. And what they're doing is they're going and fighting Cambions. Now, how do they do it? The tieflings are more lawful. They have an organized approach. Cambions do not have an organized approach. But what Cambions have the ability to do is produce boys. They're all called brothers. Okay, so they're all called a brotherhood of something, whether pain, death, something evil sounding. So in Drakenforged was a Cambion in my world, and his sons were called the Brotherhood of Pain. Okay, and basically, they're all chaotic evil in alignment, and they enter a blood rage when they're fighting like a barbarian. They get enhanced hit points and strength, and they fight like 5e berserkers, basically. They take half damage from electricity and poison. Their eyes turn blood red, just like when the Cambions. Oh, I forgot to mention that. When Cambions and demons fight, their eyes turn blood red, and little blood comes out of them, hence the Blood War. And then once they go into bloodlust mode, they get tired for like 10 rounds minus their level. Now, tieflings do not get a quickening when they kill brothers, all right, the brotherhood of whoever, and vice versa. Okay, I know vice versa because tieflings can't have kids. I'm talking myself wrong here. All right, now brothers are only loyal to their father, who is their Cambion father, and to their brothers. They're almost always products of non-consensual things. They do missions to further their father's ends. They cannot reproduce. They like to screw, fight, drink, eat, and kill. That's it. Not necessarily in that order. But they've been taught pretty much to restrain themselves in cities so not to give away their aims. They lack organization. But as with demons, there are many, many more of them than there are devils. There seems to be a rough parity of Cambions to tieflings on the plane, but far, far more brothers than you would expect. Now, on the flip side, what you have for tieflings, they have an organized thing. Now, what I've done is I've said that tiefling organizations, they're ordos, Latin for orders. They have, on each plane, there's generally one tiefling that runs the ordo of whatever. It's a rare thing that there's more than one ordo on a plane, because ordos act as the eye, the spies, the CIA, the eyes and ears of their devilish father's patron. Like Zira's father is a pit fiend, and his patron is I think Mephistopheles, right? So there is a current ordo on the Forgotten Realms of my campaign, which was the Order of Hellfire, and the Latin phrase is Ordo Infernomingus. I looked that up on Google, so if my Google Latin translator is wrong, blame Google, guys. All right, now what they are. Use this as an example. The Order of Hellfire. It's a network of tieflings and their associates whose sole purpose, is to eliminate Cambions, any demonic activity, brothers, this and that. Now, a woman named Glazia runs it from hell on behalf of her father, Asmodeus. And she's basically Asmodeus as head of intel. This also operates as a info gathering operation on all the planes related to hell. Now, who belongs to these ordos? They are tieflings who fight in the blood war. They are directed toward Cambions and brothers. They have to take them out. Tieflings who do not fight in the blood war, all right, like people who don't want to get to 5th level, they also are often operate as heads of cells. They're interesting because they cannot be detected as tieflings. Everything is set up in a cell for these ordos, okay? Not too many people know everything. Only the top people know more than one cell. Well, there's only a dozen or so cells, and then the main cell groups, and they have cells under them. And these people who don't want to take part, these tieflings who don't want to take part in the blood war. I had one called Madame Shivari. She was a fortune teller that walked across the land and operated as a spy, and various tieflings reported to her. They live as long as tieflings, but they don't show up on the radar, so that's kind of nice. Now, who do they recruit? People who hate demons. They have a grudge against demons for some reason. They have to take some sort of a blood oath, sign a contract, and are brought into the fold and trained in the game. This is as if the Highlanders Watchers from the Highlanders series actually took an active role. This is what we're dealing with here, okay, guys, in case you haven't figured that out. Now, they usually carry a token. So for the Ordo, the Order of Hellfire, the token has the symbol of Glassy on one side, and on the other side has a written on in Infernal, the Order of Hellfire, and it also acts as a tracking device. The head of the order could track him down and know that a person is carrying it is dead, and they could also cause him to self-destruct. And it's made of black stone from hell itself. They're orderly, they're secretive, run usually from the big cities, and they don't like people who, if they the apostates who don't take part as heads of cells because they're low level. Just the apostates who go out there sort of not secretively, just walking around and killing Cambions. They don't like it because it's not orderly, and it screws things up for them. So they can't. They try to take him in because a powerful one's a good ally to have, but they also try to threaten him. Don't make yourself too public. So Zira had a problem because she was an apostate, so she had some problems dealing with that. Now, what the Ordos do is they try to match up tieflings and Cambions so they could fight one-on-one, because no one wants to see two tieflings fighting over who gets to kill the Cambion. One thing I should have pointed out, I don't know if I did make it clear, that you have to kill, like if you're in the blood war and a tiefling and Cambion are fighting, you don't get that burst of energy, the quickening, unless you kill something of your level or higher. So it's even more rare as you get higher level to find more things to kill, right? That's why, in other words, you don't send a first level guy against a 10th level guy or a 10th level guy against a first level guy. You would send a 10th against 10th or higher and hope they survive. Okay, so you don't want them competing. You don't want tieflings competing, but you can have some cheating on the side. You could have members of the Ordo shooting arrows into the thing as long as somebody doesn't steal the quickening. So they're very orderly in their approach, and they'll go in there and fight. They'll cheat. They'll take advantage of whatever they can to win the fight so they get the quickening, but they generally will only try to, they won't send a 10th level guy against a first level guy because the quickening would be useless. And it's probably a first level tiefling who would want the beheading. All right, because you want that first level tiefling to level up to second level, right? Or I'm sorry, fifth level to level up to six, because it doesn't happen until you get the fifth level. So they'll soften them up, but that's all they're going to do. Now, they generally, like I said, this is a secret organization, and so you're not going to find out who they are. Anybody finds out, they're attacked and killed and taken off the game board. So that's how the Ordos work. Now, every Ordo would have a different name depending on who you're dealing with and what your patron is. And the brothers, like I said, are Brotherhood of Pain, Brotherhood of Suffering, Brotherhood of Misery, Brotherhood of Malice, whatever you wanted to have. So it brings a different level to it when you got the brothers out there doing their parents' bidding, and you got the Ordos out there trying to take out brothers and their parents, and the blood war fought in the alleys, like you had the Kurgan and then the Highlander or whatnot fought, or in some abandoned movie theater in Brooklyn. Remember the hell that was for the final fight. So that, in a nutshell, is what I've done with tieflings and Cambions, guys. All right. So please, I hope you enjoyed this. And if you did, leave a like and a comment and subscribe to the channel. Now, what next thing I'm going to do is I think I'm going to give you an information about my Dragonborn, because I've changed things up. As you would expect, they're not a playable race. They go back to the Bard abilities, much like these guys do with their triple class in a sense. They're not playable races by players. They're background things. And I've changed the whole society and structure because I've added Dragonborn and Giantborn to the mix. And there's a whole origin story with Titans and everything else. So it's really kind of cool. It's as cool as this. If you thought this was cool, that's pretty much just as cool, guys. All right. So anyway, hope you enjoy this. Now, the links to all this stuff, the tieflings and the Cambions, are on my webpage as you're listening to this. The links are below in the description. So click on the link, enjoy. And if you, like I said, share it around, guys, because if you like it, I'm trying to get more subscribers here. I want to get sort of monetized at some point. It'll be a nice thing to get by the end of the year. And these sorts of videos, I think that add good content out there, help me to get there. So everybody, I will talk to you later. If you're listening to this before Thanksgiving, have a great holiday if you're in the United States. If you're not in the United States, you don't know what Thanksgiving is, forget I said it. It's all about turkey. All right, everybody. Take it easy. Bye-bye.